people tend to think that businesses are about making money and foundations are about giving it away. So they're kind of on the opposite ends of the spectrum. But we don't see it like that. We think that they're both doing exactly the same thing, just slightly differently. And let me unpack that. What we believe is that businesses take surplus capital, that's what UBS is good at, other banks take surplus capital, and they allocate it to solve a problem, meet a need, product, service, solution. The amazing thing about philanthropy is it takes surplus capital and applies it to meet a need, provide a service, a product, a solution. That sounds familiar. So when we approach the whole so-called philanthropic space, we brought the same mindset and said, okay, how do you allocate that capital to meet that need? And which way is better, a business or a philanthropy? And our approach is that, well, if there has to be a difference between the two, we wouldn't have two different words. So what is the difference? The difference is really simple. If when you've met the need or solved the problem, you've got more capital left over than when you started, it's a business. And if you've destroyed the capital, it's a charity. And so for us, the answer was self-evident. Solve every problem with a commercial enterprise if you possibly can. Because then it becomes not only sustainable, it also becomes scalable. You can help more people for longer. That sounds better. But not everything is amenable to being solved through a commercial end, because we measure outcomes in business through return on investment as profit. But in philanthropy, for the love of humanity, the return on investment we seek isn't money from people, although money's great. It allows us to do things. It's changed lives. We believe that people can live a better life, and so there's something that we can bring into their life that's going to change that. We have lots and lots of little sayings in Legatum, which are kind of fun. But some of them are quite helpful as well. And one of them is that we say that money is a resource, not a solution. I'll repeat that. Think about it. Money is a resource, not a solution. How often do you hear a government or a large philanthropic organization say, we are going to solve this problem, we've allocated $100 million to it? If I approached my business with that mindset, I would be bankrupt. I'm going to build a better car, I'll put $100 million into it. But your first question would be, well, what car? What? So if money is a resource, you have to ask, what solution are we resourcing? And this is where the approach that we have taken over the years with the End Fund, and you've heard about all these funds today, Freedom Fund that's anti-trafficking, anti-slavery, and so on. The idea has been to every time ask the question, what are the big intractable problems that could be solved by thinking about a different solution with a little bit of resourcing might make a difference. And so what we've found is not every problem actually needs money. Sometimes it just needs a change in thinking. In fact, I would go as far as to say every problem starts with a change in thinking. And so, I love what Malin said earlier about her dream. And her dream being that people wouldn't even be talking about resilience because you wouldn't really need it. I don't think she was saying that you wouldn't have problems. Her insight that, the Philippines is not disaster prone, it's disaster guaranteed, is a wonderful insight. But I would just amend that slide and say life is not just disaster prone, it's disaster guaranteed. All of our lives, none of us are spared moments of crisis. That's just fact. And you will go through ups and downs, and if you are blessed enough to have a community around you at that time, you can get a very different outcome. And that's what disaster recovery, this is what Resilio is about. Resilio is that friend to the nations. Fanta embodies it beautifully. That friend who comes in and sees in you what maybe you haven't yet recognized in yourself, that you can do this. But where money is helpful, great, we'll bring some money in, but maybe it's not the money, maybe it's an idea, maybe it's some encouragement, maybe it's a relationship.